So hello everybody, this is my final recording for the semester and this is final exam review. So thank you for joining today. I am going to show you first Blackboard because you have to know where to go to find your final exam. So if you go to Blackboard again, you check announcements, right? And there will be student evaluations. If you completed the student evaluations and received the password from me, then you can open the final exams. Anyhow, announcements or check the deadlines and then content. And final exam is all the way here. It does not open until June 23, but here, exams are protected by password. You have to complete the student evaluation and send me a confirmation email to get a password by June 24, 2020. Well, actually, it's not even June 24. I have to update it. I think it's by June 22. Now, so once you go in, similar, like you will see final exam review. The format is exactly the same. Now you are very familiar with this structure, right? Like you have some terms. So these apply to tea ceremonies, painted hand scrolls, a little bit of later period. Again, there is an essay. So I'm giving you 3 essay questions. So one is about Zen Buddhism. And then another is Kano and Rinpa school. Again, you worked on this in one of the discussions. And then finally, you may want to write more about ukiyo-e prints. And I choose these topics that are really popular and important in Japanese art. So by writing an essay, you can also explain to other people that how you perceive of Kano school or Japanese painting tradition. So this is the review page. And then if you download it, that's the PPT that I'm going to show you in a moment. And then exam is again composed of 3 components. You have a slide, right, like 10 questions. And then you have a final exam terms exactly the same as midterm. And then final exam essay. But in order to open this, what do you need? You need a password, for example. Because I'm the user, probably, oh, no, yes. So when you click it, it says a password. You have to put the password and submit in order this page to open. So get ready for student evaluations as soon as it opens on June 17. So I'm going to stop sharing. So you are looking at the final exam review. So final exam, as you are going to see here, composed of 3 elements, slide test, essay, and terms and definitions. I sometimes say 300 or, somewhere I wrote 500. So meaning anywhere between 300 to 500 is good enough. We finished up to Heian period. So the final exam starts from Kamakura period, which is you are studying now, right? This is due June 12, like end of today. And then Muromachi, and Muromachi period is also called Ashikaga based on their family name. And then Momoyama period, Edo or Tokugawa period. And then we study the modern and then a bit of a contemporary. So Kamakura period, I explained the difference between Heian and Kamakura period in terms of representation of human figures in painted hand scroll. So you should be aware of it, like facial expressions or outdoor scenes or people in action are more emphasized in Kamakura period. And you understand what Tsukurie means. And then Kamakura period, the main patrons of art and architecture were samurai warriors. So they are military officers. So they usually liked this type of military subject matters, Heiji Monogatari. This is about a political conspiracy that took place in the Heian period, but that was painted again and again throughout the period, and this one is a Kamakura period example. So you can see a lot of epic fights among the soldiers. And then another type, Raigo. Remember the Raigo is a type of Buddhist art and the subject matter was still popular in Kamakura period, but there is more emphasis on movement, like they are coming in, and then the bodhisattvas or other sacred figures were depicted with more in action. And remember, Kamakura period, different aesthetics is to focus on realism, right? Kamakura period realism. So they really wanted to create a ferocious, punishing guardian figure in Todaiji Temple. Nandaimon. Nandaimon means south gate. So on either side of this big wooden gates, you have a pair of guardian figures. One is A, the other is Gyo. So you're going to see both of them. But can you explain the technique? Well, when I read your discussions, some of you explained really well what Yosegi, technique is, right? So that's the technique. It's composed of more than 300 pieces of small wooden components. And you can even see here, right? Like a little bit like a peck. Anyhow, so that's important. Originally, though, it was painted in vivid colors, so you will be even more impressed with beautiful accessories, and then his club that he can beat people up like bad people, and then other clothes details. So they were originally painted. Now we go to Muromachi period, and what's the most important cultural phenomenon? Zen Buddhism. Remember Zen Buddhism? So Ryo-Anji Temple is in Kyoto, and this one shows that meditative garden, right? Like this is a miniature universe or miniature world. There's no water, but you can imagine that these little paths with the sand is a water component, and you see islands isolated. So you should understand well what the component of Zen Buddhism is. I mean, this slide. And then we also saw painting, right? Calligraphy and painting. And usually in Zen Buddhism, they didn't like colorful painting of painted hand scroll. They preferred monochrome ink painting, which is called sumie, as you see here, sumie. Most famous painter of Muromachi period was Sesshu Toyo. And where do you find his name? Right there. That's his signature. Sesshu. And then you can see landscape only composed of some ink brushes.